All right, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Astro Van Tribe stuff today. So I don't know, it's been a month or more. I did this mod where I put these windshield wiper arms on that allow you to do this with your windshield wipers. The problem is, well, I listened to what Aaron told me. I love Aaron. Aaron's our Viking Wizard Astro Van guy. And this is a mod that he came up with. All right, and he told me what to buy, and I did it. The first thing I noticed was I wasn't happy with the nozzles that he selected. All right, the nozzles are, you know, they're built up in here, and they shoot the water up on the windshield for you. And because there was too many nozzles on each one of them, and it was wasting fluid. So I wanted to find something better than that. Also, he told me that the windshield wipers are left-right specific. So I went with the numbers he gave me, and I made the video. And when I did the video, I noticed that this one didn't want to didn't have as good a purchase as this one. This one locks on perfect. There's no problems with it whatsoever. This would be the passenger side, right? That part is this one here. Part number. You want to screenshot that and check it. So it's 42544 Dorman is the company name, and it is the passenger windshield wiper. So while I was putting them on, I noticed this one kind of wiggled around a little bit, and somebody else in the comments, I want to make sure I'm on camera here for you. You guys should see me here. So somebody else in the comments mentioned that this wasn't locking on for them. And I was having a little bit of an issue with it, but it did work. But then it rained last week. And while I was using them, this one stripped out on me, and now I can do this. This is not working. All right? So this comes right off now. So what happened was that the grooves on this thing totally stripped out the inside of this. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take this apart, and I'm going to put the new one on, right? Which is the passenger side. So this van is going to have two passenger wiper arms, meaning a passenger side on the driver's side, and it's going to solve the problem. One of the other benefits with this is it's what they call the J hook, and I guess that's a more robust windshield wiper you could put on there. This style versus what comes on the Astro Van stock, okay, which is another improvement. And then I'm going to show you the nozzles I'm using, which they don't actually fit on here perfectly, so I'm doing a little bit of a tweak, put a little shim in there, and then I'm using some shrink wrap that I had to slice open to wrap around to put all this together. So it might seem a little hokey, but it worked fine, other than that windshield wiper arm stripping. So this is the new updated version of that. I'll link this video to the end of that video, and vice versa, I think. Or maybe even take that one down. I don't know. Put a disclaimer in the description with that one. But stay tuned. Let's get to this. All right. I don't even remember how these things work. Easy enough. I'm going to slice this shrink wrap open, and I'll be able to show you what I was doing here. I should have sharpened this knife here. You know what I got here? I got those chisels I sharpened the other day. Like butter. So one of the things that was neat about these other nozzles is I was able to figure out how to slip this over. It looks like I did a two-piece. Look at this. I don't even remember how I did this. I got another piece of tubing from something else. or it's a piece of shrink wrap that I put around the skinny tubing and around that and then did that. Looks like that might be what I did here. I'm gonna have to figure that one out to remind myself and tell you in a moment. At any rate, I can slide this out of here now. If it'll pull through with that fatter piece on it. Okay, it's as easy as that. Now, I want to show you this. So here's the new windshield wiper, and I went ahead and I popped that on there. And you'll see I trimmed this right here. I trimmed that because I was trying to get that hose to slip over, and it wouldn't work. So what did I end up doing? I'll show you a close-up of it. Is I put a piece of shrink wrap over the end. I slid it over this. I slid it over the end of the tube, and I heated that up, and that's what sealed that, and it worked perfect. And that's what I'm going to do all over again. This will slide right back on there now, but I'm going to have to do that on this side because I have not yet finished that one off. And then what I'm probably going to do as well is put some shrink wrap over this section right here with the tubing and try to hold that in place. Okay, look, again, this is not a how-to, right? I say this to you guys all the time. It's just how I'm doing it. The main thing is you know what the part numbers are now for the two windshield wiper arms, and now you can get these Bosch windshield wiper blades, which are real nice, and it's a better blade system, and you know, you can do this now. Okay, that's what this is all about. As to how you want to rig this tube, if you want to use shrink wrap or something else, the nozzles I'm using, you might find something you like better. Feel free, all right? I just know that this is working now for me, so it's what I'm going to do. If you have a better solution for something, a better part number, whatever, feel free to put that in the comments below and let me know. We could change this out anytime. So this is my little shrink wrap container here. This is why I picked this up from Harbor Freight a while ago. It's got this real wide one here, and this is basically what I'll be using, and I'll be cutting this here. I'll be slicing it down, and I wrap it over. This is the part that I just cut off. All right, so that was, all I did was slice that open, and I wrapped it around this whole system here. And then I did, and when I did this, I remember it was a windy day too. It was kind of a bitch. I was using a lighter, but basically, I was able to make all this work. How did I do that? I was able to make all this get around there and shrink around it. This time, instead of a lighter, I'll be using this because that'll make it a lot easier and the wind won't be a problem. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of this for here because I want to hold that rubber tubing in place down in here somewhere, and as well as a piece for here. And obviously, if you don't know, the tube itself, I'm talking about the tube for the windshield wiper fluid. You run it through the spring here. Comes up through the spring and it runs along here. Originally, there was a piece of plastic on the original arms that doesn't really fit on here. At least I don't think. Let me find that and see if I can get that to work for you. I'm just looking behind the camera here to see if this is even on screen. I just found these. Okay, these are the originals. These are the original wiper arms, and the way this worked was that this just clipped over it, and then that plastic tubing slid up underneath here. All right, that's what kept the rubber tube for the windshield wiper fluid attached to the arm. Just separate this, pops right off, no big deal. Now, the new arms, they don't allow you to do that, but this will fit in here. And it wedges pretty tight right here. So what I think I'm going to end up doing is running the tubing through here, underneath this, out to here. Then I'm going to do a piece of the shrink wrap around this, right, to hold that in place. This is the nozzle. And then I'm just going to put a couple black zip ties around this, and that'll hold it fine. I think that'll be perfect. You guys let me know what you think. And if you have a better solution for me, maybe I'll do that, but I really think that this is going to work. Alright, so this here is a piece of the tubing from the windshield wiper fluid on the van. There's a lot of excess of this with the new windshield wiper arms. And that's what I used in here as a wedge. And I don't remember what I did here. I must have cut that and melted it. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to use a factory one without modifying it because I know that I couldn't slide that tubing over this. I don't know how Aaron did it before with the other one. I cannot get this tubing to slide over any of, got a bunch of them here. All right, these are different types. I couldn't get to slide over any of these. So what I'm electing to do here is I'll be cutting a section of this, and I'll be sliding it over this, and then I'm going to have, this can be a lot shorter. I can cut it right now if I had a pair of scissors here. One of you sent me these scissors. Thank you. I'll just cut a section of this here. Just cut it in half for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this over this. Then I'll be taking the tubing that's attached to the vehicle and sliding that and butting that in, right? And then I'm going to heat that up to seal it. That's how that's going to work. In the meantime, I'm taking this little piece here and I'm sliding it in here as a spacer to eat up the space so that it locks onto here better. All right? So this goes on the truck like this. It's going to go on this side because the nozzles need to be on the top side. Right? Windshield wiper is going to attach over here. So I'm just going to wedge this on here for now. This is a thick windshield wiper arm, so you have to separate this a little bit to get it started. Yep. There we go. It was stuck together. There we go. And the right spot to mount this is right about at the bend because you need enough room for this to go through the windshield wiper itself to attach. All right, this is going to have to go on, and then this pulls back, and then that locks down. So this is about the placement where you want to put this on the windshield wiper arm. Okay. Okay, and they provide these tiny little screws for this. They're kind of tough to put in because you're basically forcing a hole. You have to put some good pressure on this here to make it thread into the plastic itself. I didn't put it in before. It was on pretty snug and I shrink wrapped it. So that's on there. Now, as I said, a piece of this is going to go over this. The tubing's going to run that way. What I'm going to do is the tubing's going to run through the spring as I already demonstrated. I'm going to snap this over the top of that, fit it through there. Put a couple zip ties around this, attach it to the van, and then heat up all this shrink wrap. Okay? Now that I put this screw in here, with the shrink wrap on here, I don't think I'm going to need to put this big piece of shrink wrap around this as I had it before. So let's give that a shot. What is this about? Let's give that a shot and see how it works out. You know, I'm always doing so many different things, I forget what I just did. You know, so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to butt that, and I'm hoping I get that relatively center. So the water will work. Well, you know, what's interesting is once that gets hard, I think it'll be okay. When this stuff cools down, it gets pretty rigid. But I think that, oh yeah, it's getting hard already. I know, that's what she said. So we got that on there. We're going to snap that in. We're going to get some zip ties. Let me get those. All right. That'll definitely hold that. Okay, I think I am going to put more heat shrink on that in a moment, and I'll explain to you why. Try to get you a close-up of that from your vantage point there. Should be able to see what's going on there. And the reason I want to put more shrink wrap on this is I just want to reinforce this tubing and also protect it from the UV from the sun. All right, so I'm going to cut that fat stuff and I'm going to wrap it all the way around that and try to shrink that on there. I'm pretty certain the water is going to flow through here no problem. We'll do a test obviously in a moment. I'm going to go through the whole rigmarole of attaching everything perfectly first, so I feel pretty confident that that's going to work. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to slice this. We're going to wrap it around here like this. And then we're going to heat this and try to get this to work out. This is not how things are done. It is just how I'm doing it. Okay? I also trimmed this rubber hose on here, the line, and I might have made it a little bit short on this one. So we'll find out. The seam should be on the underside. Kind of the trick I'm trying to do here is trying to make this snug. So you got less area to shrink, right? You got to get it to glue to itself. I was able to do this last time, but it's definitely not easy. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop the camera here. I'm going to put a couple zip ties lightly around it to hold it in place so it doesn't peel back on me, and then try that all over again. All right, let's give this a shot here. I hope it works. Apologies if that's not all on screen there because I zoomed in pretty tight. Got to be careful. I don't want to melt that line there. All right. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere, and I think it's pretty well reinforced. I'll put this together now. Boy, I don't know if I gave myself enough. I might have cut that tube a little short. A bunch of people are laughing at me right now. Because that tube is really supposed to run around this down here, and I'm not doing that, so it might create too much of a pinch. Well, you know what? Oh shit, this is a great way to break your windshield. Let me back out for you, sorry. You guys couldn't see any of that. I just put this on now. I kind of made the tubing too short. That tubing's supposed to wrap around here. I can buy more of it and redo this. Let's just see if this works at all right now. We're gonna have to adjust those nozzles, obviously, it's easy to do. I'm gonna try to eyeball them right now, and then we'll do a quick test with this. Because it might pinch down. Yeah, it's going to pinch. Hopefully it'll still flow. But this is definitely more solid, like the other side. Let me get on the Widowmaker here. Use a fingernail to try to adjust the nozzles, which I should have done. They look like they might be in a pretty good spot here. Well, it's working. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other one now. And I just want to point out to you, like I said, I might have to buy some more tubing so that doesn't get pinched on me. And I'm not worried about it. You just saw me do it. I can do it again. The big thing is you got to use the passenger side for both of them. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one next. And what I like is that these nozzles here only have 3 nozzles on them. 1, 2, and 3. Versus, I think there are, I don't know if I have them here. I don't think I have any of the originals that Aaron told me to buy. But the ones he had, I think they had minimum of 6 and maybe 8 nozzles. And when I put them on and I was doing my testing, I was running out of windshield wiper fluid. He puts a piece of tape over 2 of them on his, but I think this is better. And we see that it works. So let me get the other side on and then I'll wrap this up. All right, so there's the finished product. And, you know, I think it looks okay. Even the zip ties don't really jump out at you. And now we can do this, and you can see the underside here where I put that piece of plastic trim to hold the tubing in place. That's not bad. Let's give it another test. All right, so these are the factory Astro van windshield wiper arms that I removed. And if you see here, there's a 47 here, and there's a 47 here. That tells me that these are the same wiper arm. These are not left-right specific, as I was told. Okay, so this just reinforces the fact that you want to just use the one part number, which is listed as a passenger side, the 42544. This is, you want 2 of these to do this mod. All right, let's see here. Well, the keys are in my pocket. No, they're not. They're not here. All right. So much for that test. The keys are here. We'll just leave all this in. Yeah, we're calling that a success, all right? I noticed that my headlights seemed maybe a little bit dim again when I pulled in on this door this morning. So that's going to be the next thing. You guys might remember I was using those torch beams. They're red aluminum LEDs. And I had them in there for about a year, maybe. And they both burn out on me. So when I took them out, one of the LEDs on each one, there's just 2 of them up there, was burnt out. And they're like 60 bucks. And I thought that was the way to go. But I went down the rabbit hole on this, and I think I'm just going to go with regular halogen lights because they seem to last a lot longer next time. So whatever I go with when I replace them, I'll do a video on that and let you guys know too. So this is the whole thing with this channel when it comes to the Astro van stuff. I'm just throwing crap at the wall here. Everything I do on this is something goes, I look at it as an opportunity to upgrade it. All right, instead of just replacing the factory parts. This is not a factory Astro van anymore, as we know by now, right? The lift, the 4x4, the rear end gearing, the posi on the rear, all the stuff I've done. The new ECU geared for the rear end with the 32-inch tires I'm running on this thing, and I had my shifting points changed. This is not your mother's Astro van, right? That's not what this is anymore. Okay, it's a pretty capable off-road vehicle that still has really good road handling characteristics now. And remember, I've got the Track Motive extendable CV axles. As far as I know, they are still not available to the rest of you people. I don't know what's holding them up on that because I'm having 0 issues with mine. I'll have to send Ed another email on that and say, hey, people want these things. So that's it. The next thing on this van that I can think of off the top of my head is going to be, I still have to, I'm running S10 springs on this, okay? And what I want to do is have a custom set of leaf springs made that's going to have a minimum of 6 leaves. And, you know, progressively stack them down as they get towards the axle for the right amount of spring and a little bit of lift. I want 1 inch more on the back for the lift. And with the, I have the extended, the aftermarket torsion keys, all right? Which allows me to crank the front end up several inches higher than what you can do with the factory torsion keys, okay? This torsion bar front suspension. So then I'll be able to lift my front end up, and now I'll be able to handle that because the Track Motive extendable heavy-duty CV axles, they're designed for 4x4s with an extreme lift, so they run well on an angle. They don't have to be horizontal to the deck. So it'll be safer. It's going to be awesome. And then I have to do, I think what I need to do is replace my steering linkage up front. So the 2 tie rod ends and all that linkage. It's not a big deal, but I have to do that. I'll get another front end alignment. Now, there's another thing on these things with the idler arms. So I got the heavy duty idler arms. I have a video where I unboxed those. I haven't put them on yet. And when you have the torsion keys cranked all the way, and in particular if you get the the torsion key, I forget what they're called now, but you understand what I'm saying. You can buy these things that give you more height. I already have them in. When you do that, you kind of want to pad your where the mounting point is for your idle alarms. You want to pad them down more. So everybody sticks a shim in there. I've got about a 1/2 inch piece of steel in there right now. Not a half, about a 1/4. And I was talking to Dave about it the other day, and I saw something online, and I thought, you know, that's interesting. What I'm talking about is a recovery hook, because that goes right into the subframe up front. And they're over 2 inches on center, the holes for that. Interestingly, Harbor Freight sells a recovery hook, but it's only 1.5 inches on center, so it won't work. So Dave right away got on his computer, and he thinks he can have some 1/2 inch steel cut with a loop instead of a hook that can mount there and then bend down. Now, I'm throwing this in this video because those of you who have your Astro vans and you have them lifted and you did the 4x4 and you're doing a lot of the stuff I'm doing, ball joint flip, you know, the upper ball joint flip is very important to get your front end alignment back into factory spec. I've done all that. What do you think about spacing the idle alarms down a 1/2 inch? What do you think about that? Because to me, I feel like that's pretty good. The only thing I'm concerned with is the part of the linkage that goes from the steering box down that connects to that first rod that connects to the rest of your linkage. The only thing I would say there is maybe that could be extended. Maybe there's another another vehicle that has one that's longer. Maybe we don't need it at all. So I'm asking you guys for your input on that. Because I'm just thinking, if we have to pat it down, and we got to use a piece of steel there anyhow, why not have that do dual purpose and have that piece also be a recovery point? I know that on that cross member, some people call that the radiator core under there. There's big holes in there, so you could loop something through and do something there. It's just a thought. At any rate, this works. Now you can do this. I'm still not used to this. I go to the gas station, I get gas, and I go to clean the windshield, and I'm still holding the arm because I forget I can just leave it up there. And just to remind you, now this is locked on there. That's not going to come apart anymore. Way more substantial. So just to sum this up, we're going to end this now, and just get 2 of the 42544, the passenger Dorman passenger wiper arms, and use them both left and right. All right, passenger driver. Don't buy the driver version that I put in the first video. Aaron, if you're watching this, you can't be right about everything. When you're getting back on the road to finish that bike ride. That's it. You guys have a great day. Be good. Be good humans. I'll catch you in the next one.